Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Stoppage Time. I am Carmine Bianco of WagerTalk.com, and with me are Nick Borrman and Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com and Pavlos Laguretos of Sports Memo. We're going to cover three games today, a couple EPL games, one for Serie A, which kicks off this weekend. It's Serie A and Bundesliga kicking off this weekend, so everything is now in play. So let's do a quick roundtable and see how everyone's doing. Kevin, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, good. We're on a mini 14-6 run right now on all sides, so happy with that. And, repping my Johnny Detroit special today, as you can see. So all's good, all's good.
That's great. Yeah, you got the Puma going there. Yeah, Nick, what's going on, my friend? How's golf treating you?
Golf is good. We got the U.S. Open this week. I have... we have, if you jumped on board, Carmen, we have Justin Thomas to win, who's in the lead right now. So all is good in that front. Everybody has fallen back today, so hopefully he hasn't teed off yet for a second round, so hopefully he can hang on. But all's good. I got my parents coming into town tonight. They're from Florida, so they're coming up for 4 or 5 days to hang out. So it should be a fun weekend.
Oh, okay. And we're supposed to do the live show this week. So are you sure they're okay with that? Maybe they can.
My dad's gonna be right there watching with me.
Awesome. Okay, that's good. And I think we're going with we're gonna do a 10 a.m. game before I throw it to Pavlos next. We're gonna do a 10 a.m. game on Saturday so you can enjoy some quality time with your family. We're gonna do the two recently promoted sides with Leeds and Fulham. So hopefully we get not as many goals as we saw in the Liverpool Leeds game, but hopefully enough that it makes it a good in-game betting experience for us. Let's welcome the man in Europe who almost got wiped out by a cyclone or something like that. Pavlos, how's it going, buddy?
Remember last week when I said that the weather is still fine? Well, it's not, because, yesterday we had a big fire, next to my house. And then after that, we had an earthquake. And today we have a cyclone or a tornado. So, and all the while we have a pandemic. So I don't know what's going on. It's pretty funny, actually. I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking. They're going mad right now. So the cyclone might come back. So, but we're still here. We're still doing the show. And we're going to talk about some really interesting picks today.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is all those Greek gods like Zeus and everyone else, they're essentially just arguing at some poker table up in the sky.
Yes, they're fighting.
Awesome.
They're angry.
All right, guys, before we get to it, let's do a little bit of business here. Welcome Matt Mary, Sabino. Welcome to the chat, guys. Remember to hit that like button if you're tuning in. Matthew as well, too. A show special for today, 7-day all-access package. This is a 24-hour deal. It'll expire tomorrow before these games kick off. So pick this up today. It'll cover you right through to next Friday. Get a 7-day soccer all-access, which is normally $69. Get it for only $49, $20 off when you use STOP7 at checkout as your coupon. That'll work at Wager Talk for three of us, and for Pavlos at Sports Memo. It'll work there as well too. Grab that. A busy weekend of European soccer, so there is just a ton of games happening that carries over into next week with some Europa League and Champions League qualifying, and of course MLS soccer as well too. So all right, we're gonna head right to it. Opening, Nick, I'm gonna go to you first. This is a bit of an interesting game when I looked at the line on this. This is Italy Serie A. They kick off this weekend, and we've got Verona and Roma in this game. Verona hosting Roma. I look at this line. Roma's minus 106. Verona's plus 275. The draw is plus 250 here. The total is at 2.5, shaded to the over at minus 125. some numbers here. We look at Roma, unbeaten in 17 against Verona, 12 wins, 5 draws, their last 17 games. But this Roma team is going to look a little different for Coach Paulo Fonseca. Dzeko has traveled with the team, but likely is not going to feature because a move to Juventus is imminent. They picked up Kumbella, but he's just started practicing, so he's not going to be ready to jump into a striker's role. And then you look at some of the guys that are injured for this team. I really feel bad. A second ACL tear for Nicolo Zaniolo. He's a big part of the Italian national team, so I hate to see this guy go down again. But, you look at some of the other guys who aren't ready to play there. Pastore, Perrotta, Kluivert, Bruno Perez, Pedro. I don't think any of them are going to feature this weekend. So with that said, Nick, what are you thinking?
All that news and the Roma line has been moving in their direction. They were plus 120 when I first kind of jotted the lines down 2 days ago. Now you said minus 106. So maybe it's hope that the new players are going to be fine and the rotated squad that they're going to have is going to be okay, or it's just people don't trust the name Verona. Verona is one of those teams to me that's like they're often disrespected and overlooked by people just because it's not a name when you think of Italian soccer or any soccer in general. So I think they're always disrespected as far as the line goes, and they're tough to play at home. Roma, I would still argue, even with those lost players, and yes, Edin Dzeko going to Juve, which I'll ask you how you feel about that in a minute. But I still think they're the better team at the end of the day. But I don't like laying the number here on the road. Game one, a lot of new faces, a lot of different players playing together. Then, remember the season only ended, I guess, 6 weeks ago now, 7 weeks maybe. So, they were playing pretty well together. They actually ended the season very well. They had 8 straight unbeaten. They clinched their Europa spot, no problem. They beat up on Verona last year. They won 2-1 during that 8-game stretch at home against Verona, but they really dominated the expected goal number, 2.66 to 0.88. And in the reverse fixture in December, they won at Verona 3-1 by a similar XG number, 2.11 to 1.22. But again, what do we really, keep in our minds about those past performances when you got a lot of new players, a lot of changes on the field? So, all that being said, I think the one thing that I like in this game is the fact that Verona is tough at home, and I expect them to score. And Roma's not a great team defensively by any means. They usually get into more of higher scoring games, and I'm not too worried on their end that their best scorer, their leading scorer, Dzeko, is not going to be there. I think they can still put goals in the net. So to me, this game, I'm struggling with the side. I actually like Verona if I had to choose a side, just because them at home, they're tough. But I think we'll see some goals. I think Verona's going to at least get on the board here. Both teams to score is a little high, minus 150. It's not terrible, so that's worth a shot if you want to play it safe and just see both teams score. And a 1-1, you can still win. Or as you said, the over 2.5 is minus 125 right now. I think that's where my money's going in this game. I think we'll see some goals. I think both teams will score. You could probably combo those two for a little smaller, risk, or probably a little bit of a plus money return, actually. But I'm thinking both teams score, and I'm thinking the over 2.5 is the way to play this. I just don't trust Roma coming in on game one. Too many changes. And Verona, like I said, that they're tough. They can really sneak out points with the best of the teams in Serie A when you really don't give them much respect or think about them much. So I like goals here, guys.
Yeah, no, and I tend to agree with you. Listen, Fonseca did a great after after the restart, they were one of the best teams in Serie A. They strung together quite a few wins, and I think obviously. Their struggles earlier in the season is what kept them out of possibly making a run at the top four, yeah, and a chance at a Champions League berth. And I don't know about Dzeko. You know what I mean? Like, he's traveling with the team, and you just never know the way these transfers work, whether they actually end up going through or not. We saw it with the Luis Suarez, and how his rival in Italy and to play for Juventus was imminent, but obviously passport issues. You have to have an Italian passport in order to play in Serie A, and he couldn't get one or couldn't pass one, or he kept saying he was going to take one. He's now kind of holding Barcelona hostage because he has a year left on that contract. I don't see him coming here. The Zeko one is one that could move and could happen for Juve, and they could use a physical guy up front like him, who's a deadly goal scorer. So sort of to help a guy like Ronaldo. So it remains to be seen whether the move helps. But the fact they travel with the team is he's either going to start from the bench, or they may look at it that until a move is made, he's going into the lineup and he's going to play. And they've got guys who can score. Mkhitaryan is there, obviously. Pellegrini's there, Spinazzola. So there's plenty of talent, as you said, in this lineup. So to likely get this win. But they also have a team that can score goals. So with that said, I have to agree with you on this 2.5 and this over. Robert McIntosh, welcome to the chat, guys. This is Stoppage Time. Like I said, I've got a promo up there, 20 off a 7-day soccer all access package using Stop 7. That's only a show special, so it'll expire before soccer kicks off tomorrow. So you might want to pick that up. We're going to head next to our man in Greece, the one and only Sports Memos, Pavlos Laguretos. And I wanted to give you the German team Cologne today to preview as the Bundesliga kicks off. I said I can't do it to the guy. Instead,
please don't.
Instead, I'm giving you Man United and Palace. I'm going to throw a couple things at you. First, this opening number. This is Man United's first game of the season, minus 334. Palace is plus 850. The draw is plus 450. The goal line here is 1.5 goals, and the total is a Asian split line of 2.75, which is 2.5 and 3. A couple of things to throw at you before I hand it off. Last season, their 2-1 loss at home to Crystal Palace, which was also obviously an upset, was their first and only loss in 22 PL games to Crystal Palace. United hold the record of 19 opening day wins in PL history. And with that said, Pavlos, give me your take on this game.
About that game, last season's match where Crystal Palace won in this venue, they were really lucky, and Manchester United were really unlucky in that match. And there's a couple of reasons. First of all, Luke Shaw, the left back, was the left defender, was forced to be subbed at the first half, which is a really bad deal. I mean, you lose one of your 3 subs at the first half, it's really bad. Then Rashford misses a penalty kick. But Manchester United did pull even at the 89th minute, but then they concede again at the stoppage time to lose by 1-2. I think it was a fluky win, like it was a random win by Crystal Palace, who generally they struggle a lot in this venue. They have done a really poor job because in the previous 6 matches in this venue, they didn't even score a single goal. They lost 5 of those matches and they didn't even score. Now let's take a look at United, who are very, interested, very motivated to start the season on the positive note, on the right foot. They have, I think Pogba will not start. I think he'll start from the bench, but I'm not pretty sure about it. They're going to start Martial up front, Rashford at the left flank. I do have him on my fantasy side, so I hope he does well. I think Crystal Palace are in for a rough night against Manchester United because they didn't even convince me in their opening win against Southampton. Southampton really pressured them. They created a lot of chances. They could have scored some goals in that match, but they didn't. While Crystal Palace, they didn't create a lot of chances. They got lucky, there with Zaha. But then Crystal Palace also played against Bournemouth for the EFL Cup and lost 2 or 3 days ago. They again struggle to create chances. So they are a team that they actually rely a lot on Zaha to to do one of his, magic tricks and create goals. So I think that Manchester United will cover the spread on this one. It's 1.5 goal, right?
Yes.
It's minus 1.5. But yeah, I think that's a pretty solid bet on this match.
Yeah, I know, and I tend to agree with you on that. First game out, you're laying goals, and you might think that teams are a little tentative, or they might not be fully ready. But this is in 2020, and given that these seasons just literally ended, as Nick alluded to just a little while ago, essentially 6 weeks ago or so, 6 or 7 weeks ago. These teams aren't going to be rusty. Players were given 30 days off, but they're back in training and working. And Pogba did train with the team a couple days ago. But I would tend to think the same thing, as he probably is going to start from the bench as far as this game goes. But given the fact that they were surprised by Palace last season, I don't think they're going to take them lightly, this weekend. So I would look to United to obviously to win here, get off to a good start. This is a team that is going to be, not fighting. Well, they're challenging is more the word. Challenging for a top 4 spot in the league. I'm still not ready to concede any of the top 2 spots to anybody other than Man City and Liverpool. And we're going to have to give it a few games for any of that to change my mind. So we'll see how that goes from this point forward. Speaking of the aforementioned Liverpool, we're going to go to Kevin next on this one. This is probably the game of the weekend. I would have to think, if you look at all the games through the top 5 leagues. Chelsea, off a 3-1 win in their opener on the road, are at home, plus 225, hosting the champions Liverpool, who are plus 110. The draw is plus 275, making Liverpool a quarter goal favorite. And the total here is 3, shaded to the under. So if you like the over and you like goals, you're getting about plus 105 on the total. I'm going to throw a couple things at you, Kev. I'm sure you already know this, but Chelsea are unbeaten their last 13 games against teams that have won the title the previous season. 7 wins, 6 draws.
Interesting.
A few things as far as the lineup goes. Chelsea will still be without Chilwell, Silva, Pulisic, and Ziyech. Nick has that Ziyech jersey. There.
I did.
Liverpool's healthy. They'll have the same side that they had for the opening round. And obviously their new signing from Bayern Munich won't be ready to play. I think, as someone told me, they still haven't announced him, but he's in Liverpool. They agreed to that $20 million. And
they did.
And the final thing is, Liverpool has won the last 3 meetings in PL action. Chelsea did win last year in FA Cup action. With that said, Kev, give us a winner.
I mean, personally, I would like to see Pulisic play. I seen he was like 50-50 doubtful, but yeah, I mean, if he's ruled out, because he absolutely torched Liverpool down the wings in that 5-3 loss they had, back in July. But in terms of this one, it's hard for me not to look past Liverpool. I think they're the side in this one. We've seen that 4-3 shootout against Leeds, but if you dig into the numbers, look, to me at least, the first 2 goals were kind of mistakes by Liverpool. The third goal, undisputable, fantastic goal by Leeds. But, Leeds had an XG in that game of 0.27. So I'm not quite sure what's going on at Ellen Road. Marcelo Bielsa, he must have some goat's blood or something, because I don't know how you can turn 0.27 XG into 3 goals. There's kind of black magic going on there. Yeah. If we turn over to the Chelsea side, I thought they were completely underwhelming. The cash tickets, I suppose, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But there was definitely a bit of a price. You could see what the bookies were thinking in terms of, hanging that 3-quarter goal line out there. Because, again, on the XG numbers, Brighton actually were over Chelsea, 1.44 compared to 1.27. So, Chelsea didn't do a whole pile, and they were kind of lucky. I mean, if James hadn't got that wonder strike, Dunk had that miss, after that, Brighton could have easily been in that game. So, 3-1 kind of flattered Chelsea in my eyes. And look, as we said, it's hard to look past Liverpool. They've lost just 4 times in 2 seasons. Like, that's ridiculous. 4 times in 2 seasons. And what's more ridiculous than that is, like, 2 of those 4 losses came when the title was over. So they've really only lost twice in competitive matchups. The danger for me here, and why I like the over more than the Liverpool side, is it's Werner, and it's that high press that Liverpool play. The Liverpool play in a particular style, and it's, if you've only lost 4 times in 2 seasons, you're not going to change it particularly much, no matter who the opponent is. And for me, it's Werner adds that, like, I can just say Werner's going to be sitting on Gomez's shoulder, and he's gone. There's going to be times where he's gone. Gomez isn't going to be able to catch him. And if he gets into dangerous areas, it could be a shootout. Now, I don't know whether we're going to see 8 goals like we did in July, but it wouldn't surprise me in this one. So I took over 2.75 early in the week. You can still get over 2.75 at some books, so definitely like that. And, look, Liverpool's last 6 EPL games, 4.67 goals on average. They're not the same defence that we saw at the start of last season. And with those weapons that Chelsea have obviously added, this just looks goals to me. And the last point I'll make on this is we've seen, Frank Lampard have that spat with Klopp. He was dropping a few F-bombs at Klopp and telling him, you've only won 1 title. You think you're the big man. So I just think Lampard's going to get these boys fired up, at home. It'll be kind of a do-or-die attitude on the pitch. And, I lean Liverpool. I like the over.
Yeah, and I get it with your point about Liverpool's, their last 6, 7, 8 games. I think after they clinched that EPL title, things sort of loosen up, and they had thoughts of aiming for that 100 points. That didn't happen after they lost a couple games. And I was quite surprised by allowing 3 goals. They're not going to allow 3 goals again this season. I would hedge if there was a bet on whether Liverpool is going to allow 3 goals in any game in PL again for the rest of the season. I would probably take that bet if they're going with this same starting 11, because they're such a good defensive squad. They were last season, I think, the best defensive squad. But with that said, there's still going to be goals in this game. I tend to believe. You look at some of the exact scores, and the 2-1 Liverpool is at plus 900. The 2-1 for Chelsea is at plus 1100. Liverpool 3-1 is at plus 1600. Those are numbers that are usually a couple ticks higher than what they are right now. And until this Chelsea side get completely healthy, they spent a lot of money in the offseason to strengthen this side, but they need to get Chilwell there back. They need to get their defensive core back and a few games playing as a sort of a cohesive unit before we can see these Chelsea games where they're probably winning, by these 2-0 score lines or 3-1 score lines. Until then, you look at that game that they played, that 3-1 game, they could have been exposed for more goals against a team that was better offensively. Nick, any thoughts on this game? Because I know you love to rebuttals on Kevin.
No, I agree. I mean, he was right on the money. We watched the Leeds game. We did that live. There was a mistake. Van Dijk had a mistake for the second goal, I want to say. And I remember the third goal. They got down the field, broke away. It was a great shot. I mean, did they really create enough chances to score 3 goals in a normal course of play? Probably not. So, I don't think Liverpool, the scoreline really indicated the fact that Liverpool were a better team. Yeah, they had 2 penalties. Let's not forget, too. They scored 2 on that. But that just means they were in the box. They were there. They were pressing. They were creating chances. So, and Chelsea, he's right, too. I mean, we previewed that game before the weekend, and we all kind of were scared of taking Chelsea, that trap line. I know you were a little bit more willing to take him, Carm. You liked him. I thought I was a little scared. I ended up taking him anyway because it was hard not to. But I agree. I don't think they were the better team necessarily in that game. I think Brighton actually played pretty well, and Chelsea wasn't that good. Will they be? Of course. Will it come this quickly? I don't know. Liverpool, on paper, still better side. Plus money, okay. Over, I like it. So I have no rebuttal. I agree. Every which way.
Yeah, and the thing here is, I will say it because it happens in every single sport, and we're talking football here, and this has everything to do with it as well too. Spending money in the transfer market does not equate to automatically winning championships. It just doesn't. We see it all the time. So, yeah, Chelsea spent a lot of money. Will they get better? They need to get better because, like Nick said, that 3-1 game that they played, while it covered the line for us, because we both had that play, it wasn't a convincing win by any stretch of the imagination, as Kevin also alluded to. Pavlos, any thoughts on this game, since it's the big game of the weekend?
Yeah. I'll go with at least one penalty kick in that match, if you can find it in your sports books. I have some people that are actually asking me on Twitter if I have any free plays, on penalty kicks. So if you find in your sports book a penalty kick for this match, my sports book offers it at plus 205, at plus 205. So, yeah, I think we'll see a penalty kick here because there are a lot of players who play like that, like Werner and Salah and Mane. They always play for penalties.
What do we think about Jorginho taking the penalty?
To score, yes.
Jorginho I'm just saying, I was surprised he took the penalty in the first game.
He's their guy, but he is their guy. Jorginho takes all the penalties for Chelsea, and I think.
Yeah, I figured they might be moving towards Werner at some point.
I would have thought so. I would have thought so too, but. He's their guy. He hasn't missed a penalty yet, which is surprising because he is Italian, and we aren't the best penalty takers. We've gotten a little bit better, but Bet365 has plus 200 on a penalty in the match. If you want to go a little further and choose whether it's going to be Chelsea or Liverpool, you can get Chelsea at plus 600 to score a penalty, so they'd have to score it as well too, and Liverpool at plus 550 to score a penalty. Welcome to the chat, Chance. Clayton, I agree with you as well too. It's funny because before we went to air, we were talking about AC Milan and Zlatan Ibrahimovic and how no matter what happens up front, Zlatan will look at the other guy who made the pass to him, and whether it was a good pass or not, and Zlatan will complain about it. It's what Zlatan does, and I've seen that from Van Dijk. Yes, he was. He's supposed to be one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the league. But when he makes an error, as he did in the last game in playing that one of those balls back, he will look around almost as if to point at someone else's mistake and stuff. But I believe they'll get better defensively, and I think Sabino says I would probably lose that wager that they'll get scored on 3 times at some point. They might. They very well might. You know what I mean? Especially against a team maybe like Man City where they have to go to the Etihad. Who knows? It could happen, but I just think they're a very good defensive team, and they play well like that. Guys, it's 1:30 while we're doing this show. There are a couple games going on today. Maybe some quick thoughts, and I'll throw this one to Kev first. Either the Lyon Nims game or Bayern Munich Schalke. I'll give you the option of telling us if you have any thoughts on either one of those games.
Well, I have 2 4% plays up on both of those games.
So tell us what you like.
To be honest, we have in terms of, they're both totals. So in terms of the side, look, I actually like Bayern Munich minus 2.5. I think they cover the line. No real lean on Nimes Lyon. And we also have a free play up tonight. You can catch over at Wager Talk Guimarães minus 1.25 over in Portugal as well. So Yeah, no, I can't really talk that much, obviously, about the two games because they're two 4% plays, but they're both totals, as I said. So
I want to thank you for throwing that free play out there too, because you actually said the name as I expect to hear it, Guimarães. So you got the
Happy
end
days.
of it perfectly, right? So many people butcher the end of that name.
I've been practicing.
Awesome stuff. Nick, any thoughts on the Lyon game or Bayern Munich game? If you have a play on it, by all means, stay away from tipping us on what you like and just talk about the other side.
I'll just say I like to say things phonetically, so it is Guimarães, not whatever the hell you guys just said.
We're European, so we've got a little bit of that to it.
Listen, I mean, I do have a play on the Bayern game, so I won't talk about that one right now. But in general, Bayern's the team that's better. It's a big line, though, so it's tricky to have to cover that big of a number. But there's no doubt they'll win that game. Lyon Nimes, I didn't like it. I'm not, Lyon at home is definitely better. But I talked about this last weekend. My game I covered was Montpellier versus Lyon, and I said take Montpellier at home plus a half a goal, which they won outright 2-1, just because Lyon in League One is generally overpriced and overvalued because they are usually the second or third best team in the league, but they're not that much better than the rest of the league. I mean, nobody compares to PSG, so I didn't take that game. I would look if I was going to look at either side in that. I probably would look at Lyon. But I don't know if the line's worth it at this point. I actually didn't look at the line. Or I did, but I forget what it is right now. What is the line in that one?
The line is 1.5. I think it's 1.5 minus 120, 110, somewhere like that.
If you could buy it -1, and even that's probably expensive, you probably have to pay 140, 150 on juice. That would be the only way I take it. I don't like laying the extra quarter of a goal personally. I just don't trust them.
I get it. And obviously disappointing last time out for Lyon. They're one of the teams that's supposed to battle for a top three spot, so I expect them to be a little bit better here as well. Pavlos, anything on these two games that you might want to give out to the guys, other than? And I'm going to give you credit. Hold on a second. I'm going to give you credit. You did. I'm not sure if we on the show. I think you told us in our chat afterwards, after Tuesday's show. You gave us a few plays on one of the games with PAOK and Benfica. And one of them was a guy to get a yellow card, and he picked up a yellow card 1 minute into the game.
40 seconds into the game, which was awesome. Because, as I said to Clayton, I live in Greece. I'm Greek, so I hear whispers from time to time. So I hear whispers from people who are inside the teams, who are on the staff. So
would be
from
the
time
cyclone.
to time, I tend to. Yeah, now I hear a lot of stuff. So he told us about the Olympiacos game that just started from the Greek Super League. So I told him that I see a penalty kick there, which should be awarded to Olympiacos, because they are the biggest team in Greece, and they tend to have the favor of the referees. Now let's take a look at the Lyon versus Nîmes game. No bet from me.
Okay.
Lyon have sold all their players. Nîmes are missing like 7 or 8 players. No bet. When I see those things and those odds, it confuses me a lot. So I just move on to the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
About Bayern versus Schalke. I'm not so sure if Bayern Munich will go all in the first match, but they tend to do that. And Schalke were really unimpressive last season. If you remember this, they finished with, a 17 streak with no wins. So they only won their first match in 2020. And then they either lost or drew the others. So I think that Bayern Munich will cover the spread. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a big line. And I did see in the chat a little earlier that Sabino did say that he was taking a parlay with Bayern Munich and Borussia. I think you need to be a little more specific because that game is Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Borussia Dortmund. So you might want to give us the second name in that, Sabino. Just kidding. I think I know you're going with Dortmund. But just in case you're not, you might want to let any of the other guys in the chat know about that. Guys, tomorrow at 10 a.m., we are doing a live in-game betting show, Nick and I. Another feature we're going to do in the upcoming shows is we're going to bring in both Pavlos and Kevin into the shows. We're going to figure out a format where maybe one of them comes in for the first half, one comes in for the second half. We'll have some great show specials up there. And it's another chance to win an EPL jersey. If you tune in to tomorrow's show, you'll have to pick the final score of the game. If you get that score right, and it doesn't matter if somebody else has picked the exact same score line, you both get an entry into the draw at the end of the month after 4 shows. I will draw a name and we'll post it on Twitter, and that person gets an EPL jersey of their choice. I'm actually heading down to the store after today's show. We wrap up here to have a look at some of the stuff he has and to get a name put on the back of my new kit for Juventus, who will be going after their 10th straight league. Any guesses, guys, on what name I'm going to put on the back of my jersey?
Dzeko.
Possibly.
Lasagna.
Lasagna. I could go for some lasagna right about now. No, it won't be Higuain. He is on his way to Inter Miami to play with another former Juventus player, Matuidi. So
I think you like Chiellini the best.
So I do like Chiellini, but this very well could be the old guy, much like myself, his last year playing for this Juventus side. So we'll see. Before we wrap this up, because we've got still a few minutes, let's talk about Serie A for a second here. This year seems to be the one year that after 9 straight titles that Juventus could be knocked off the perch. Inter look a lot better. Lazio, obviously, before they struggled towards the end of the season, were playing very well. You have Atalanta with a good team, and Roma that should again hopefully battle for something. Even though if you look at Roma, their odds for finishing in the top 4 is 7th of all the teams that are in Serie A. So I'm not really sure. And AC Milan, who are returning to their former glory, or at least they're hoping. Kev, any thoughts on Serie A? Does Juve get knocked off the throne this year?
Yeah, I actually do believe they will. I think this is the year it happens. I've been actually very concerned about Juventus over the last decade, just because to me they used to be like a Bayern Munich. They used to be a dependable team who used to focus on Champions League, try and get as far as they can, dominate the the domestic league. But like around 10 years ago, 8 years ago, they seem to want to go down the rock star Real Madrid route in terms of, buying these players like Ronaldo. Like a guy like Pirlo would have never got the job a few years ago. Right. They're old, like the Contes and that, dependable managers who've got the experience and been around the block. And to me, it's just a worrying sign for Juventus because, they've definitely seemed to lose focus in terms of, where they were in terms of like Bayern Munich, as I said. And I think this is definitely the year they get knocked off because there's a lot of, hungry lions right behind them in terms of Inter and Atalanta and teams like that. So, I just don't like where they've been headed over this last 10 years. Yeah,
no, and I tend to agree. When you look at the outright odds, that tells you something right there. Juventus are minus 110 to win the Serie A title. That's literally those numbers. You've never seen it in years past. Inter Milan are plus 187. Next up are almost co-third choices. Napoli at plus 1,100 and Atalanta at plus 1,200. Then you got Lazio at 20-1, plus 2,000. AC Milan plus 2,200, 22-1. And then Roma in 7th at plus 4,000 or 40-1. I completely agree with you. I have no idea what is going to happen with this team from the get-go because we have no basis, and I'm going to throw it to Nick next, of knowing what Pirlo is going to be like as a coach because he was hired to coach their under-23 team and then never coached their under-23 team when they promoted him straight to, after they fired Sarri, straight to the top teams thing. This isn't like not Zlatan, but this isn't like Zidane when he went to Real Madrid. He coached Real Madrid's under 23 team or their B team for 2 years before becoming the manager of Real Madrid. So he had some basis of we could figure out the type of manager he would be. Pirlo came in and quickly got rid of contracts. He's like, okay, Higuain, you're gone. He literally just started to cut players and said, you're gone, you're gone. So who knows? We have no idea of this team, and they aren't in years past. They haven't been the greatest out of the gate. So, Nick, any thoughts on this?
I've been giving out one futures play for each league, and the one that I will be giving out for this league is Inter to win plus the money. I mean, this is the year. You guys already hit it on the head as to why. The other one, I don't want to do another one, but I kind of want to hit Immobile again as the top goal scorer at 4-1. So he's another guy I'm trying to, possibly look at. But Inter, I think this is the year they do it.
Yeah, you look at the odds, and as you say, and before I throw it to Pavlos for some final thoughts, but you look at, to win top score in Serie A, of course they're going to give the favoritism to Cristiano Ronaldo. He's at plus 220. But then you have Lukaku at 4-1 odds, Immobile at 6-1 odds. These are on Bet365. Ibrahimovic, surprisingly, at plus 800 because he's going to play a full season. Zapata at 10-1, and then Osimhen, if I pronounced that correct, for Napoli at 12-1. So quite the good odds on, as you said, on Immobile there at 6-1, considering the type of season he had last year. He kind of fizzed out the team fizzed out in the second half, even though Immobile finished off strong in the last few games, scoring a ton of goals. Matthew asked what the odds were for Inter. The odds are plus 187 on Inter, and I'm with Nick on that's a very good price on Inter here, because it could be another one of those ones you just don't know with Pirlo whether he's focused on winning the league or could care less if they finish first or second, as long as they make a deep run in Champions League. Pavlos, before we go, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that we'll have to see what's the focus, because we see some teams that focus on the Champions League or the domestic title. I think that Juventus would prefer the Champions League. They did a great signing with Artur and Weston McKennie. They're looking towards the future. I'm not sure how Pirlo will manage this team, though. We'll just have to see. So it's nice to look towards other teams to capture the league, and Inter Milan, the teams that were, I think they made the most spot-on transfers. They closed the gaps, some gaps they had in their roster, and I think they'll be the main contenders. Yeah, I really like Napoli too, but I don't think that they can compete so easily, even though they splashed like 70 million euros for that guy Osimhen. Yeah. So yeah.
They definitely stepped out on him, that's for sure. Sabino asks, as far as the worst team in the league this year, I have to believe it's probably Benevento, maybe even Crotone. Neither team, and we see it in the EPL as well too. Teams get promoted, they get money for being in the top league, but they don't want to spend that money, and they don't bring in any additional talent. And believe me, the players you have that might have won you the Serie B title, or you finished second in Serie B, are not on the same level as the players who are playing in Serie A. And you've got to spend some of that money in the transfer market in hopes of staying in the league, so you don't become like I believe West Brom will be in the EPL this year, a one and done, and you're back down to the Championship league, or as far as Italy goes, Serie B. So those are probably two of the worst. I think Genoa is probably going to struggle as well this year. You're going to have to watch that team because they're one of those teams where they were extremely lucky towards the end of the season, and just watch them, because if they get into one of those free falls, especially early on in the season where they lose 3 or 4 in a row, that can easily turn into 6 or 7 in a row, and then they're looking for a new manager. So always jump on a streak because it only ends once. So you go with that streak, and if they're losing, you just continue to fade them. With that said, guys, before we close off, $20 off a 7-day all-access package using code STOP7. It's a show special, so it'll expire in 24 hours. It's a great deal. Instead of $69, you get every play in soccer for $49. These guys all have stuff up. Nick, you have plays up, I'm assuming, now for the weekend? Did we lose Nick? Kev?
Maybe.
Kev, you have...
Sorry, I have my 5% top plays up. Sorry.
So there you go. Nick has a 5% top play, which is normally $40. Spend the extra $9 and $49 and get all of his plays, including that 5% play. Kev?
Yeah, we got 5% NFL, 5% EPL. We got the 4% early game in the EPL. I have a Euro pack that I'm about to put up after this show, so it's just stacked.
Yeah,
you know?
Guys, you guys are in there. Matthew, B. Buyer, Sabino. You guys know your math. And if a 5% play is $40 and you can get a 7-day for $69, you guys know your math. Or sorry, for $49, you can get it 7 days. You know your math. Go out there, get it. You get to judge the guy on 7 days as opposed to one play, and that's always the best way to go. Pavlos, before we go, what do you got loaded?
I have three plays on the totals and 1 play on the sides, but I'll load 5%. I'm just waiting for some last minute injury, updates. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot of action. At least like 3 more games I'm gonna upload for Sunday.
All right, that's what I want to hear. As far as me, I've got same thing. I've got a ton of stuff loaded. If you pick up the 7-day package now before these afternoon games go off, while I don't have a card up, I have today's games as client plays, and then 4 games loaded already for Saturday, and then I've got a 3-game card that'll be up a little later on. Guys, tune in tomorrow. We're going to go live to air 9:45 for the 10 o'clock game, Leeds Fulham. We'll post on Twitter, myself and Nick, our plays, our pregame plays, and then obviously we'll do some in-game betting as well. We had a profitable show number 1 last week, Nick and I, and we look to do it again this week. Hit that like button if you can, please, guys, and once again, good luck with your wagers, guys. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
See you guys.
Bye.